Good afternoon. We are going to discuss, friend, today another research tool and the schedule. In the last lecture, we tried to understand the questionnaire, its advantage, disadvantage, its limitation, and a different aspect of the questionnaire. Today, we'll move further and we'll talk about another research tool, that is a schedule. It's where we can use schedule and its advantage, disadvantage, and limitation. Every aspect we will try to understand. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in the studio the same resource person, Dr. Devesh Kishore. He is senior academician, researcher, and has long experience, about 40 years of teaching and of research. So, and he is presently the advisor and director of International Center of Excellence for Journalism and Communication. He is also member of Evaluation Committee of EMPC, Indira Gandhi National University, and he is also advisor to Diploma in Health Communication that is being run by National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And apart from this, he has been visiting faculty of different university of the world. And he has also published a number of books and articles regularly. He contributes in different journals, national, international journals. So I think his knowledge and experience will help us to understand this topic and will give insights. So on your behalf, I welcome Professor Devesh Kishore for EduSet lecture on this topic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Today, as indicated, we will be discussing about schedule as a research tool. But let us recapitulate. A researcher first decides the research approach which he is going to use for his research project. It could be interdisciplinary approach, it could be sociological approach, it could be anthropological approach. He has to ultimately decide what approach he wants to make use of it. Once he has decided the approach, then he comes to the research methods. What are the research methods he is likely to use for that particular research? Maybe a content analysis, it's a good research method itself, maybe a case study, maybe an interview. So there are several methods which are available for him to adopt and use for his research projects. After he has finalized or decided what research method he is going to use, the next thing is research tool. And there are number of research tools available which can be used, like questionnaire, interview guides, schedule, etc. Now you can see the first comes the research approach, second research method, and then the research tool. Research tool can be used.
I'd like to interrupt you here.
Yes,
As
please.
you said, the interview will come in research method and it will also in research tool.
Yes.
So there are, I think, some methods which falls in research method and also tools. So how can we differentiate and what is the criteria of putting into the research method and tools?
It is a good question. When interview used as a full method to collect the information, for example, you are conducting a case study and you are collecting information, then case study is a method. But when you are in the case study using an interview to collect the information, then it becomes a tool. The case study remains the method and interview is a tool. Next situation could be, interview could be method, where you are collecting all the information from the person concerned. And in interview method, you can use several other things, like you can use a question answer session, you can have it, you can have a group interviews, you can have individual interviews. So therefore, interview, when it is used to collect the full information about the research project, then it's a method. When it is a part of some method, then it becomes a tool.
Okay.
So therefore, we should distinguish itself whether it is going to be a part of a method or whether itself is going to be independent method to get the data information or collected itself. Same thing happen in interdisciplinary approach. You can use 2 or 3 approaches, and then you will say, well, I have used case study also. In this, I have used anthropological methodology also, and then it becomes a combinations of 2-3 approaches, and then we will say interdisciplinary approach to the problem.
So it totally depends on the application. How do you apply
Yes,
for
that's
the
right.
research purposes?
Application is very important.
Okay.
Why it is important? Because every approach has got its fundamental methods and systems of working. When we say anthropological, immediately pictures come to your mind that there are set principles of anthropology, there are set methods of anthropology which is to be used. When we say sociological, then immediately a picture comes to our mind, what are the sociological tools, and those tools have to be used for research. So therefore it's all application. How do you make use of it? This can be used, tools can be used for any method,
Okay.
and methods can be used for any approach.
So before we move further, I'd like to know from you, sir, when we write the methodology chapters, some of the people, what they practice, that what the approach is, or what the methods and tools they are using, they give the historical evolution of that tool or the approaches or the methods, and who are the major contributor who criticizes this. So is this required to write in the methodology chapter, or just we need to write we are following this?
I've seen most of the Indian research reports and Indian scholars' thesis.
Yeah.
They also describe the methodology and also the tool. Once I say I have adopted a Likert technique for measuring the attitude of a person, that's enough. Everybody knows what is Likert technique. But some people devote 5 pages, 10 pages, what is Likert technique?
Yes.
As if nobody knows Likert technique. If you are using a standardized method, which has already been standardized, used, then there is no point of describing it. But if it is a new method you have developed, new tool you have developed, new scale you have developed, then you should describe it.
Okay, so
Otherwise, there is no point
so
in.
no need to fill up the pages. If it methodology
Yes,
chapter
that's
comes
right.
in 1 or 2 pages, it's fine. Not required to fill the 10 to 15 pages in methodology.
I have seen the PhD thesis
Yeah.
recently from Germany.
Okay.
I was surprised. It was only of 15-20 pages. Why? When I went through it, then I find they have just mentioned the name. I have used a Bogart's scale. Bogarta social justice scale, finished. There is no need of describing what is Bogart's scale, what is social justice scale, how I have used it, because everybody knows. Who knows the Bogart's scale, he knows everything of Bogart's. So therefore there is no need of describing. You are unnecessarily wasting your pages, energy and effort by describing it. But of course, if somebody has developed a new scale or new methodology, then he should describe how he has done it. For example, one of my research scholar has developed a scale for measuring the effectiveness of radio in terms of attitude. Then that attitude scale is the new scale which she has developed.
Okay.
Therefore, it has to be described. But if she says, no, I have used the scale developed by Dr. Trivedi in my thing, then there is no need of describing it. So therefore, please take care of it. If it is a standardized methodology already known to the people, no point of describing.
Okay.
But if it is new, you have developed a new one, then you should describe it.
Okay.
That is the point.
Now you continue, sir.
Yes. So I was talking about the new tool, that is the schedule. Now question is, what is schedule? Now schedule is a device for collecting the data in which investigator or researcher himself goes to the respondent. That he physically meets the respondent and collect the information from him. Now there are 2-3 important things. Number one, the researcher himself or investigator or appointed investigator goes to the respondent and physically meets him. Now what is the difference? Physically meeting and not meeting physically. Difference is when he is meeting physically, then he is observing his gestures, his facial expressions, which also speak certain information to the investigator. You see, gestures are very important. Facial expressions are very important. So in case of schedule, since he is going there, meeting him, he is also observing the person who is responding to his schedule and also observing the surroundings, what is happening around him. Therefore, it becomes a more reliable method in that sense. In questionnaire, the difficulty is you have sent the questionnaire to him and then these questionnaires he is responding. You don't know what he has been doing, whether he is manipulating the replies, whether he is serious about it or not, or he is just taking something, whatever comes to his mind, without seriously analyzing it. Now these are the problems. So therefore in a schedule, the important thing is he physically meets the respondent and also note down, if possible, if required, the communication which he receives through his gestures, through his facial expression, through his surroundings, which might be helpful for his findings when he is going to write, or interpretation. So therefore, the schedule becomes a very important document for collecting the data and observing the respondent at the time of giving him the information. So that is a schedule. People confuse schedule with the questionnaire. I don't see any point of confusion. Schedule doesn't have any list of questions. Questionnaire has all questions. Why? Because questionnaire is to be filled up by the respondent. And their investigator, researcher is not going to be there. In schedule, he is going to be there. He is also going to note down certain points. So therefore, schedule is a list of guidelines or information which investigator himself has to collect from the respondent. So that is a schedule. Now let us see what is the nature of schedule. Nature means how schedule look like or what types of question it should be have. Number one, there should be proper sequence of fill in the blanks. Proper sequencing, when I say proper sequencing, means that the researcher or investigator should arrange the fill in the blanks in an order which are based on certain logic. They should be logically arranged. They should not be jumping from here to there and there to there. Once you have started, for example, you want to know his economic status. And there naturally fill in the blanks. You want to know that how much he is earning in a year. And from there you want to, one of the major parameter of economic status, the money earned by a person. Now if he is a farmer, he will not be able to tell you that he gets 5 lakhs rupees a year or 10 lakhs or 6 lakhs because he has never calculated. Then what do? Then you ask him how many acres of land he has, what types of crops he grows, in how many acres which type of crop he is growing, how much is he gets the profit in each crop. Like that, you have to ask several questions to reach to the conclusion that what is his annual income. While in the case of a salaried person, it is very easy, and he himself can tell you, this is my salary and this is what I draw. So the point which has to be remembered, that in case of schedule, this is one very good point, that you ask simple question and person can respond it indirectly to you. In case of questionnaire, it is very difficult for the farmer or for the person to tell you the exact answer. It will always be confusing. Next thing which must be remember, all the information which you are trying to collect, it should be written in easy and clear language. There should not be any difficulty in that. As I was just mentioning you, the income part of it. The income part of it, if you want to work it out, then you will have to write in using different methodologies so that you reach to his total income for 1 year. Next is limited size. Whatever information you are collecting, it should be relevant and it should be required by you for the research. Unnecessary information don't collect because it kills the interest of the respondent, and also it wastes your time and his time. So therefore, make it limited. Once you have prepared a questionnaire, go on revising it and trying to see, if I cut down this information, then what happens? Whether I will be able to derive it from other questions or not. If I am able to derive it, then why there should be a next question to be asked. Then another thing is, avoid ambiguous statements. Which statements which will give 2 meanings, 3 meanings, try to avoid them. Because the respondent may understand or misunderstand the statement made by you. To get the accurate responses from the respondents by the investigator is a real difficult job. For that, he has to be, since he is present in front of the respondent, he can always ask the questions which could be roundabout and can give you the information indirectly, so that you are able to get the accurate responses. You can check the present response with the earlier response, or you can check the response with the later responses. You just said like this, now you are saying like this, now which one is true? Or why are you saying like this or giving this information? So that has to be, you can get the accurate responses, while in questionnaire, you have no chance to ask him. Whatever is written, you are dependent upon that. Then, the statements which he is making, there are respondents who make very important statements. We must note down those statements, because these statements reveal certain information which may be useful to us. So schedule should be such which has logically arranged, fill in the blanks, easy questions. At the time of collecting the information, you should interact with the respondent, check whether your answers are correct or not, reword them, restate them, so that you are able to get the reliable, creditable, objective information related to your research issues, research problems. So that is the schedule should have these type of characteristics. Then only you will be able to get this information. Now let us remember what are the functions of schedule. Because each tool is meant for certain particular type of functions. In case of schedule, let us try to understand that what are the basic functions. And I think the most important basic function of schedule is to get the reliable and valid data. While it is not possible in the case of the other tool which we discussed is the questionnaire. Now, so the important function of schedule is to get the correct, valid, reliable data for our research program or research project. So therefore, schedule functions where the investigator has choice to get the desired reply by putting statements, restatements, rewords and get the correct information. Second thing which is very important, schedule work as a guideline for researcher to get the data in a sequential order. Let's say in case of interview, if you have not prepared the interview schedule and you have just gone to conduct the interview, then what will happen? You may ask the questions which were not desirable to ask the questions. You may change their sequencing. You may not put them in a logical manner. So therefore, a schedule helps in providing the guideline to the investigator or the researcher. Third thing, a good schedule always helps in tabulation and analysis of the collected information. Because when your schedule is there with you, you will be asking the same questions with different people, tabulating it in the form which is easy to analyze later on. Otherwise, if you have not prepared a schedule, you will be asking questions, may not be in the same order, may not be in the same fashion, and then therefore there will be difference in the answers or responses of the respondents. So schedule is very helpful. It functions for getting the data in a tabular form, in an easier form which can be further analyzed. So what are the important functions of the schedule? Number one, it helps the investigator to get the reliable, valid and objective data by rewording, restatement. Number two, he is also noting down the gestures, facial expressions, surroundings which might affect his data. Third is that it acts as a guideline for him. He may not miss certain information. So, a ready-made guideline, and he is ready to ask information based on those guidelines. And fourth is that schedule helps in tabulation and analysis of the collected information because you have arranged them in a tabular form while collecting the data itself. So these are the important functions of the schedules. Now we come to the kinds of schedule. What are the kinds? What are the types of schedules which are being used? What I just mentioned as a passing remarks, interview schedule. Now schedules which are meant for interviewing the respondents on a particular topic or on a particular research issue so that you get the full information from him. That is very important. If interview schedule is not there, then you are likely to miss some information. You are likely to not get what you are interested to get it. So therefore, interview schedules are prepared before going for the interview. Second type of schedules are called rating schedules. What is a rating schedule? Rating schedule is when you want to rate a person against a particular phenomena or theme. Rating means you want to know his attitude, how he rates it. There could be one object and the different people will have different type of ratings. Like nowadays you must be reading in the newspapers honor killing. What is honor killing? If you ask people, then they will give you different ratings. Somebody will say it is very bad, why it should be done? Somebody will say no, the person has committed crime, therefore it should be done. So these are the ratings. People give different ratings to a particular topic, to a particular phenomena or event. So if you want to measure that, then you will have to use schedules as a tool, and they are called rating schedules in this phenomena, where you want to rate their opinion, attitude about a particular happening or event. So that is rating schedule. Third types are document schedules. Document schedule, as the name indicates itself, you want to document something, like autobiography is a good documenting schedule. You want to write an article about the person concerned, and somebody wants to write himself, then he himself first prepare a schedules that what is going to be included in this, and all those things whatever is going to include in this, he first write down on a piece of paper which will say schedule type of thing. He prepares and then he collects all the documents related to it and put them in proper order. So that is document schedule. Fourth is observation schedule. Observation schedule means the investigator himself observes the respondent or the event or the happening or the case, whatever may be the method he is using. There he uses observation schedule as a tool. Whatever he observes, he writes it down. Maybe he writes at the point while the respondent is answering what were his facial expressions, what was his attitude, how he was feeling. All these things will come under observation schedule. So there are important 4 types of schedules, that is interview schedule, rating schedules, document schedule, and also the observation schedule. There can be other types of schedules which can be also prepared by the researcher for his purpose. Now the next question which comes to our mind, how to design a good schedule. Because designing a schedule is an art and science both. Before designing the schedule, you must study the problem, research problem, and write down different aspects of it. Because every problem, every research issue has got certain dimensions. has got certain aspects. So therefore, first you find out all the aspects. Suppose I want to measure economic status of a person. Then what are the aspects of economic status? What type of house he has, what type of transport he has, what type of life he leads, how much money he earns. There are various aspects to find out whether he is a rich economic strata or middle economic strata or poor economic strata. So there can be several dimensions, several aspects. So therefore first study the research problem very carefully and then divide it into certain aspects, certain dimensions, on the basis of which you can do the further analysis. Take another example. To study the effects of TV program on youth. How TV programs are affecting on youth. Now there can be several aspects related to youth. Their way of thinking are being changed by television, are their activities are being changed, are if they are watching an educational program, their qualifications are changed, knowledge level is changed, their lifestyle is changed. So there can be several things. Now these are the aspects of the problem. So what I said, effect of TV on youth is that we have taken several aspects of youth, characteristics of youth, and then we will see how TV is affecting. How TV is affecting his attitude, that has to be taken into consideration. So when you are using a schedule, designing a schedule, then you will have to study the different aspects, various aspects of the research issue, so that you can find out on what topics, what dimensions, what aspects of this issue on which I should write down my guidelines for conducting the interview or for getting the data related to the research problem. The next thing is that we should also recognize the other necessary information to be collected for that particular thing. Generalization to each aspect, meaning thereby that when you are preparing a schedule, you also think of that what could be the other factors might be affecting him. For example, if he is doing a business, if you are checking his economic status, what type of profession he is doing, is he a business doing, or is he a salaried person, or is he a farmer, what is there. So there are certain information which is whether he is doing shareholding business. There can be several types of businesses he may be doing, or several type of activities may be doing. So break it down. Means you in your schedule, you write down all these points and check with him what he has been doing. He may be doing not only one activity, he may be doing more than one activity. Even if he is a salaried person, he may be having shares, he may be having properties, he may be getting income from those sources, or he may be a small industry. So therefore, the point is that whatever possible related aspects to it should also be taken care of. So in designing a good schedule, you must take care of all the dimensions, all the related aspects of that research problem. The next point in designing a great schedule is that whatever the fill in the blanks and tables you are going to use it should be such that easily you can note down the information. This should not be very complicated. Suppose the respondent had given the answer and you are searching the column, you are searching the table and taking more time for that. It should not happen like that. So therefore, framing the fill in the blanks should be so easy and you should be able to write down in them without any loss of time. Second thing is arrange the statement systematically. You will be asking him his views, his attitude, his opinion about a particular statement. Now those statements should be very clearly written and then they should be asked from him that yes, what are your views about this particular statement? Please remember that now lot of advanced techniques are available, research techniques are available. For example, if you want to measure the attitude, then there are attitude scales. And for that also there are various methods, whether it could be 5-point scale, 10-point scale, 8-point scale, whether you adopt Likert method, what you would like to use it. So therefore, measuring the attitude, if you want to be exact, if you want to be correct, more reliable, and getting the valid data, then you should go to those scaling techniques. Schedule will not be able to give you the answer. Schedule will be for basic understanding. You can collect the information. But for exact measurements, you must go to these techniques which had already been developed and many people are using it. Many research workers are using it. Only thing is you will have to learn how to prepare a scale and how to test its reliability, validity and objectivity. Once you have learned all this methodology, it's very easy for you to prepare a scale for measuring the attitude. Let schedule remain a basic, fundamental tool to collect the information, but you are not sure in case of measuring the attitude that you will be able to measure it through schedule. If you want to make schedule more reliable and valid, one practice is recommended. That practice is pre-testing. You prepare the schedule, whatever guidelines you want to write down, whatever logically fill in the blanks you want to give. You might want to give some statements. Write it down, everything. And then the pre-testing means you take a small group of people from the same population, maybe 5 persons, 10 persons, 20 persons, as much you can afford, and give this questionnaire, give this schedule to them. You ask them, let them read, or you also use it as a tool to get the information and try to see whatever you wanted to ask, whatever you wanted to find out the answer, whether the respondent is understanding the point which you have raised in the same manner as the same meaning as you have in your mind. Means that the statement should be understood by the respondent and get the same meaning which you have in your mind. If the meaning are same which you have in your mind and which the other person reading your statement has in mind, it means you are able to write down a correct statement which gives him the correct picture. Because then whatever response he will give, that will be response which will be related to that particular theme or point on which you want to collect him. So the validity of the schedule depends on pre-testing. My advice is pre-testing should be done of the schedule, because there are several things which might not occur to you when you have finalized the schedule. When you put it to pre-test, then you come to know, oh, I never meant like this, but people are trying to understand and respond like that. So this will be the interesting part of it. A good schedule that you must pre-test it before you are using it. Now we come to a bigger question. Question is, the questionnaire and schedule, how they are different. Of course, I explained in the definition itself that these are two different tools. But number of times I have observed that the researcher is not very clear in using questionnaire and schedule. He is not able to differentiate. Why? Because people who are investigators are confused about its use. Questionnaire, they take themselves and use as a schedule. That is not correct. Questionnaire means list of questions which you have written down, which the respondents will go through it, and then he will reply it. If you have gone with the questionnaire, then situation is totally changed. Then you are physically meeting the respondent, which could have been done by schedule. Then why should you write in question form? So, schedule is the form containing blank tables and fill in the blanks. While questionnaire is having a lot of questions, definite, concrete, then this is the questionnaire. Please remember, I have repeatedly said that in questionnaire, the researcher, investigator are not meeting the respondent. Why they are not meeting? Because they have certain limitations. Maybe the area of operation is very big. Suppose I am working at JNU or working in a particular university, and I want to collect data from whole of the India. It's very, very difficult and impossible for me almost to get all that information throughout the country. Because it is not possible to run from place to place. You require a lot of time, energy, money, if you have to physically go to collect the information. Suppose you want to know how people become Naxalite. You want to know the information. Now in different places there are different situations created them. Now if you start going, you may take 10 years to get the information, 15 years. But if you are sending the questionnaire, then within 4 months, 6 months, you will be able to get the information from the respondents, and then you will be able to analyze it, and you can come out with certain whatever different recommendations or answers from the data. So therefore, questionnaire is used only for that purposes, that you have large number of audience spread over a large area, and then try to use questionnaire. Second point is, the questions which are written in the questionnaire are in direct form, while in schedule all these we write down in direct form the points. Suppose in a questionnaire we are asking age, then we say, what is your age? But in case of schedule, we just write down age and leave the space. I say, then what I do, just as he tells his age, I note it down. But I am not going to ask a question from him. The point is, has to be understood that the list of information to be obtained in questionnaire, it is put in question form, in schedule it is not. It is only in the points. Third thing is, which is we should remember, as I explained earlier, that it consumes less time and comparatively cheaper. Very limited manpower is required in case of questionnaire. In case of schedule, it consumes more time, more manpower is required, and expensive, because you have to go and personally meet the respondent, and therefore schedule requires more time and more energy. The difficulty, as I mentioned, in case of questionnaire, you never know the information given by the respondent is really relevant, or is beating about the bush, going round and round, but not telling you the truth. In case of schedule, since you are physically present, you can ask him the questions, searching questions, so that ultimately he gives you the correct information. Next thing which has to be remembered, the questionnaire gives you poor response. Poor response means if you send 1000 questionnaires to the respondents, then you find 10% of them are coming back. 10% means 100 questionnaires. Now you cannot force them. There is no methodology. Of course, you can give some incentives. Early 200 questionnaires, people will get maybe something as an incentive. Then people will start sending fast, and then they say, well, if I send early, my number may come. So there could be some incentives attached to questionnaire so that you improve the response from the people. If I don't get any incentive, I also think twice or thrice, why should I waste my time? Why I should fill up this questionnaire and unnecessarily lands myself in trouble? by giving information. So I don't give the information. That has to be remembered. That in case of questionnaire, response is poor. In case of schedule, since you are going there, talking to him, then naturally, when you are sitting in front of a person to collect some information, he or she may give you the information out of courtesy, out of the fact that you have come all the way to collect the information from him, and therefore you are sure that you will get the information. The other point which has to be remembered, that in case of questionnaire, there may be incomplete information. A respondent may skip the questions. He has answered 6 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but he has left 7, and then again he has answered 8, 9 again he is left. Reasons best known to him. Maybe he find difficult, maybe he is shy, whatever. So, in that case you get the incomplete information from the respondents. In case of schedule, since you are there, you are talking to them and you are physically present, then you will find that the response is good and you are able to get the lot of information. So these are the basic differences between the questionnaire and schedule. Now the next question is how to ensure that your questionnaire which you have developed is valid, is objective. The answer to this question will come from the objectives you have framed, hypothesis you have developed. That's why we say, while designing the research project, don't forget objectives of your research to be stated very clearly. So if objectives are written down, stated very clearly, and let's say there are 4 objectives in your research study, then for each objective you are required certain data, certain information, and that information is to be used for that. So objectives of your research projects become good guidelines for preparing the questionnaire or schedule, whatever the case may be. Number 1. Number 2, we say hypothesis. You have done certain assumptions which you may have in your mind, and these assumptions you are going to prove or disprove. But before you do that, you have to collect the data, or you have to collect the information. Once you have collected the information, then easy to analyze it. So, if you are using schedule, you must go back to your objectives, check, recheck whether whatever information is required as per your objectives has been included in my schedule or not. that care has to be taken. Number two, whatever hypothesis you have, whether all the information related to hypothesis can be collected by your questionnaire or by your schedule, or your tools are helpful in collecting that information. If you have done that, then you have prepared a good schedule. I think this is very important. Going always back to objectives and hypothesis, check, recheck, and then taking care of all the characteristics of schedule, functions of the schedule, how to design the schedule. If you have taken all these aspects, you may end up with a good schedule which will be a tool for the research. Please remember, if you have not developed a good schedule, or if you have not developed a good tool, then you will not be able to get good data. And once you don't get the good data, required data, then you will not be able to get the solution of your problem. I think this should help you in designing a good schedule, using schedule as a good tool for your research.
And in case the different objectives require different data, then we need to have a different set of questionnaire schedule, and accordingly we will gather the collect the data and analyze. So we'll in that case we need a different analysis and all the other kind of things.
You see, one schedule or one questionnaire may not meet the requirement of all of your objectives.
Okay,
Suppose there are 4 objectives. In one objective you may use questionnaire, another objective you may use schedule, in another objective you may use interview guide. So it depends upon the research objective, what type of information you want to collect.
Okay, one question I would like to put you is I want to test know the coverage of or the space given to Naxalism in the newspaper, or a space given to the rural development in the newspaper. So in that case, I am just measuring the space and all this. So what is this research? This is just a measurement.
No, you see, measuring and working out the content got the space in the newspaper.
Yeah.
That is a measuring unit.
Yeah.
And through this measuring unit, you can find out that in a newspaper, how much space has been given to cover the next slide. So that is the way of analyzing it.
So that is
this is a content analysis method.
Okay.
You are using a content analysis method. In content analysis, you are using a scale as a tool to measure the space.
Okay.
So here, physical scales are being used by you. In case of attitude, somebody has to measure. Then he will use attitude scale.
Okay.
So in content analysis, if you want to do next slide, problem to be understood, you are using content analysis method and you are using scale as a tool.
Okay. So, well friends, this is this very important tool of research, any research schedule, so we discuss in details. So I hope you have got the important point and how can you do this, can use this tool for the benefit of your research. So with this word we conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture, and on behalf I thank Professor Devesh Kishore for giving such an insightful lecture on this very topic. Thank you very much.